KNES English Medium Junior College welcomes its 11th standard students for the first online lecture of psychology for the topic Introduction to Psychology. Students, this year you are going to study one new subject, that is psychology. So, in this lecture, let me introduce to you the subject of psychology. Introduction to Psychology. The term psychology is derived from two Greek words, psyche and logos, where psyche means mind, soul or spirit, whereas logos means science, a study of science. Hence, psychology can be well said as a science of soul or mind. So, psychology is the science of mind and behavior. Psychology is the mental or behavioral characteristic of an individual or group. What is psychology? Psychology is primarily a study of the human mind, brain and behavior. Psychology tries to study whenever a person engages in any act or thought what exactly happened in his or her brain. Thus, psychology is the study of mind and behavior in relation to a particular field of knowledge or activity. Since psychology is a study of mind and behavior in relation to particular field of knowledge or activity, these knowledge or activity give rise to many questions. So, psychology tries to answer all such sorts of questions. Related question of psychology. Why does one individual behave differently from another? How do emotions and thoughts affect human behavior? What leads to the development of mental illness? What are some of the reasons and remedies behind mental illness? So, psychology helps people to achieve insight in these questions, which lead to better understanding of our own actions as well as a better understanding of other people. Students, I hope you must have understood little bit what psychology is. To understand it more in detail, we will study the following topic this year, which will help you to gain more insight about the subject of psychology. The chapter that we are going to study this year is Story of Psychology. The main objective of this chapter is to know how psychology has evolved as an important subject to understand human behavior and basic concepts related to it. Branch of Psychology. The objective of this chapter is to know and understand the difference between the theoretical and applied branches of psychology. Self. The objective of this chapter is to develop an understanding about the concept of self, self-esteem, self-regulation, self-image, etc. Human development. The objective of this chapter is to understand the stages of human development with its specific characteristics, problems and developmental tasks. Next, healthy me, normal me. The objective of this chapter is to develop an understanding about criteria of normal or abnormal behavior and to identify the problem faced by adolescents in general. Stress. The objective of this chapter is to develop understanding about what is stress, its type, sources, and effects of stress on human life. It also helps us to understand the different methods of coping with stress. Next, nervous system. The objective of this chapter is to make us understand about the nervous system, function and structure of neuron and endocrine glands. Next, memory. The objective of this chapter is to understand the process and nature of memory, methods of measuring memory, and various causes of forgetting, and a way to improve memory. Let's look at the definition of psychology. The basic definition of psychology is a scientific study of mind and behavior. Now let us see the different definitions given by the psychologists about psychology. Wilhelm Wundt. Wilhelm Wundt, a German psychologist, a founder of formal science. He is the one who established the first laboratory of experimental psychology. He has defined psychology as a study of consciousness. Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, an Australian physician, a founder of psychoanalysis theory. According to him, all human behavior are not conscious. Therefore, psychology is to emphasize on unconscious motives. John Watson. John Watson is an American psychologist. He is a founder of behaviorism. According to him, psychology is defined as psychology is a science of all forms of human behavior. Morgan and King. Morgan and King are a publisher of a book known as Introduction to Psychology. They have worked in the field of general psychology. According to them, psychology can be defined as a science of human and animal behavior. psychology is applied to human problems. It serves in both the area, that is science and art. Robert Feldman. The psychologist named Robert Feldman. He has well-defined psychology. According to him, psychology is a scientific study. Scientific study of behavior and mental processes. So, according to Robert Feldman, psychology is a scientific study of behavior and mental processes. These were some of the definitions given by different psychology to understand what is psychology. Students, after looking to the meaning, explanation and definition of psychology, let's come to another feature of psychology, that is characteristics of psychology. 1. It is empirical, which means behavior is known to us by observation and experiment. Second, it is a systematic approach, which means behavior is followed in fixed systematic plan. Third, it is a measurement of behavior. So, in all the three characteristics of psychology, we have seen that behavior is an important term. The word behavior is the special characteristics of psychology, where behavior is anything a person or animal does that can be absorbed, recorded and studied. Behavior can be any organism response to an stimulus. Behavior could include overt and covert activities. Overt activity includes bodily movement. That is, the action that we can see. Example, playing, dancing, etc. Coming to the covert activity of behavior. It is the activity that is going within our mind. So covert activity include mental process like feeling, thinking, etc. Coming to the next feature of psychology, that is goals of psychology. Major goals of psychology. There are 4 major goals of psychology that aim at solving the problem of human and animal behavior. They are description, explanation, prediction and control, where description involves observing behavior. It is the first goal of psychology that simply describes behavior, which helps us to better understand and gain perspective on what is considered as normal or abnormal. Describing behavior includes naturalistic observation, case studies, correlation studies, survey, and self-report inventories. Coming to the second goal of psychology, that is explanation. Explanation is the process of forming theories and behavior. Explanation is to explain various aspects of human life. It helps in development of personality. But the best example of explanation is classical conditioning. Coming to the third goal of psychology, it is prediction. It tells us what will happen in future. So, prediction is to predict about how we think and act. It is to know what happened, why it happened. We use that information to make predictions about how it might happen again in future. The best example of prediction is aptitude test. Coming to the last goal of psychology is control. Control, it is to change and modify behavior. Psychologists try to change, influence or control behavior to make constructive and lasting change in people's lives. It is used for treating mental illness, enhancing human well-being, etc. Students, in this lecture we have studied that psychology has evolved from the quest of man to understand behavior. For perceiving as a study of soul, mind, consciousness to behavior and mental process. It has been still exploring the behavioral aspects of human beings. So, psychology is concerned with human and animal welfare. It is that branch of science which raises questions about thought, feeling and action to give better understanding of other and our own behavior. So, this was all that we have studied about introduction of psychology. In the next lecture, we shall start with the branches of psychology.